Now today, I want to show you the Platnum Case Trim and Prep Center from my friends over at Frankford Arsenal. Now this is a really cool system because as you can see, there's 4 stations. This one's for your brass to go in. This is to clean out the inside of the neck. That one there is to clean out the outside of the neck. So that way you deburr the inside and the outside. And the final station here is so that way you can clean out the pocket of your brass. Now it does have this handle and you can adjust this. There's 2 sets of holes. You can go up and down with it. And you can also run this Case Trim and Prep Center straight up like this. Now the one problem I found with it is that you get brass shavings everywhere and they don't give you any type of tray to catch those brass shavings. I found this one online and threw it through the 3D printer. Modified it a little bit because it was a little hard to get on and off, but this solved my problem. That's really the biggest problem with this thing, is they just need to give you something to catch your brass with. Now on the top here, this is where all your collets are, and I'll explain how these collets work in a minute. I have this thing set up to trim this brass, and then I'm going to tear it apart to show you how it actually works. Now, there's a switch on this side right here that turns the unit on. It's not obnoxiously loud, but it is a little bit of an annoyance. So as you can see, I'm going to turn this on. It does make a little bit of noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brass here. Now I pre-selected this brass. This brass is 1.7555. Now this is a 223. Normally I wouldn't trim this. You don't trim this when it gets to 1.76. But I don't have anything really all that large. So we're just going to trim this one down to about 1.5. That's all it takes to trim this stuff down. And I have it set a little bit short at 1.746. Now I can go down on 223 all the way down to 1.73 is the minimum SAMI spec. It does take a little bit of getting used to getting this thing set up and getting it set up right. Now I'm going to take this tray off and I'll loosen this collar right here. And then you can take this base and twist it. So if I go clockwise, it makes the case longer, and counterclockwise makes the case shorter. So I'm going to go a little bit longer. And then I'll tighten this up. I'm going to leave this tray off just so I can tweak this a little bit more. There's some brass shavings that fell off there. And let's see what we got now. I'm at 1751. So you can see the cases are getting longer. Now let me show you how this thing works. There's a collet inside here, and we get to that by removing this ring here. Now this ring has this little gasket here that for some reason this thing always comes out of the ring. It should be in here. And that all that does is puts tension on this ring, so that way you don't have to crank this thing all the way down, because you might not need it cranked all the way down to hold your brass in. So a little more engineering in there would have been nice. If they just made this a little bit longer and maybe put a groove in there, probably would have solved that problem. And then we have this collet right here. And what happens is that's actually what holds your brass. Now, deep inside here is this ring here. And let me flip this over so I can get this out. And what happens is this ring goes on the neck of your brass. And then this collet goes up against it. And this is what keeps you from pushing your brass too far in once you have everything set. Now, it does go with the chisel side going towards the cutter. And of course that flipped around on me when I put it in. But yeah, you put it in just like that. There's your collet. And you just thread this thing on until you get to the point of everything is as tight as you want it. Now, because of that rubber gasket, there we go. The rubber gasket does make it tough to get started, but once you get it started, it's all good. Now you can see that brass is really loose. As I bring this thing down, it's tightening up. Now, the instructions tell you to put your brass in, tighten it, and let it cut. I like to leave mine a little bit looser than what they're saying, just to give me the ease of getting this brass in and out. It's not really affecting the accuracy from what I can tell. And that is the way this thing works. It's pretty simple. The annoying thing with this thing is as you saw, I was getting brass everywhere. They do have this little plastic piece that cuts off 3 holes. So that way the brass is only coming out 1 hole. Not sure you really need it, especially if you're running with like a brass catcher like this. You don't have to 3D print that. You can just put a little tray or something under there to catch those brass shavings. The other thing that's kind of annoying is these holes. You really can't see the cutter very well. I mean, I'd like to see the cutter head a little bit more so I know that my brass is in, that I'm not pushing it too far forward when I'm setting this up. If these holes were a little bit bigger, maybe if they made this a little bit longer, probably would have solved that problem. Overall, it's not a bad product, and I like trimming my brass this way better than having, well, 4 different things to do. I mean, I have one of the little crank ones. You know, I set it, crank it, pull it out, then I have to deburr, and then clean the primer pocket. I like having everything right here, and of course I like it being motorized, so that way it does a lot of the work for me. So what do you think about this product? So far, this is really making my life a lot easier. Short of a brass catcher, maybe give me a little bit of notes on the face of this, because you can see I wrote on this with a Sharpie, just so I knew that, you know, which way I turn this thing makes the brass longer or shorter. That's about all I can come up with right now that's really could be improved. We'll see over time if I change my mind. Let's hear your comments down below. Thanks for watching. Hope you're staying safe out there, and look forward to seeing you again soon.